up to 12 verses. Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam Bhaj Mudhamate, Samprapte Sannihite Kale, Nahi Nahi Rakshati Dukrim Karne. Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam, Bhaj Mudhamate, Odajahi Dhana Gamatrishnaam Kuru Satbuddhim Manasi Vitrishnaam Yallabhase Nijakarmopatam Vittam Tena Vinodaya Chittam. Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam, Bhaj Mudhamate. Nari stana bharanabhi desham drishtva maga mohavesham etanaman savasadi vikaram manasi vichintayava ramvaram. Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam Bhaj Mudhamate. Nalini dalagata jalamati taralam tatvajivitamati chapalam vidhi vyadyabhima nagrastam lokam shokahatam chasamastam. Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam, Bhaj Mudhamate. Yavat vitto parjana saptaha tavat nija parivaro rakta paschajivati jara jara dehe vartam kopi na pritchati ge. Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam Bhaj Mudhamate. Yavat pavano nivasati dehe tavat pruchati kushalam gehe gatavati vayau deha paye bharya bibhyati tasmin kaye. Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam, Bhaj Mudhamate. Balastavat Kridasaktaha Taruna Stavat Taruni Sakta Vridhastavat Chintasakta Parame Brahmani Kopi na Sakta. Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam, Bhaj Mudhamate. Kate kanta kaste putraha samsaro yamativa vichitra kasya tvam ka kuta ayata tatvam chintaya tadiha bhrata. Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam, Bhaj Mudhamate. Satsangatve Nisangatvam Nisangatve Nirmohatvam Nirmohatve Nischalatatvam Nischalatatve Jivanamukti. Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam, भज मूढ़मते वयसि गते काम विकार शुष्के नीरे काकसार क्षीणे वित्ते का परिवारो ज्ञाते तत्त्वे कः संसार भज गोविन्दम् भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते मा कुरु धन जन यौवन गर्वं हरति निमेष काल सर्वं मायामयमिदम् अखिलं बुद्ध्वा ब्रह्मपदं त्वं प्रविश विदित्वा भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते दिन्यामिन्यौ सायं प्रातः शिशिरवसन्तौ पुनरायात कालक्रीडति गच्छत्यायु तदपि न मुञ्चति आशावायु भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते. So last few classes we have been seeing verse number 11, and this verse tells us not to have pride of pride for our wealth, for our youth, for our relationships, our contacts, because we don't know, in a moment these could be taken away from us, and this whole world is nothing but a play of Maya. Come to recognize the Brahman, and in that knowledge of Brahman, remain established. I was going through my notes on this verse 11, and I was trying to move on to verse number 12. But I came across some very interesting concepts, which I will share with you first, and then move on to verse number 12, because this is a question that all of us have, and that question is about God. Is there a God, or is there no God? And when most of us talk about that existence or non-existence of God, it is an opinion. And those opinions of ours influence our way of life. It is important to come to appreciate this, because then the next verse will become very meaningful for us. So how opinions influence our way of life, but do they really make a difference? Does my opinion about gravity make a difference to what gravity is and what it will do? Really, it does not matter. My opinion about gravity will make no difference. Similarly, with the concept of God, we do a lot of intellectualization. We talk a lot about it. Then we have concepts. But this has to be first fully appreciated, the concept intellectually, and then it has to become a personal experience. So for it to become a personal intuitive experience, we have to have knowledge. Now, this knowledge, particularly when it comes about God, there will be questions, a lot of questions that each one of us will have. But what kind of questions must we have? There are some of us who ask a question just because they must ask a question. Foolish questions. It is just, to counter the other person's argument. Whatever you say, logic one can give to counter that. Logic is a double-edged sword and has to be used very carefully and correctly. So foolish questioning will not lead us to a clear concept. The second way of questioning is closed mind. We have a strong opinion, and nothing we will allow it to change our opinion. We are not open. We have closed ourselves to it. So no matter what questions are given, what questions are answered, what reasoning is given, we will find a way of countering that and hold on to our opinion and try to convince the other person through our logical arguments about our convictions. The third one is an open-minded inquirer who is open to our suggestions, logic that is given, thinks independently with clarity. Now, to think with clarity, one of the essential things that is required is purity of mind. If there is ego, it will not, but this is my opinion, my way of thinking. It will close me in some way. So clarity of thinking, with purity, there will be objectivity. And with objectivity will come clarity of thinking. So, of course, we will take that all of us here are pretty objective and clear in our thinking. So where do we start inquiring about God? If we look at this creation, initially our way of thinking, because our senses, which are our instruments of knowledge, are directed outside, we will start thinking about God outside. Is there a God? Is there a creator? And when we look at the creation, we see reasons why we can be convinced. We see an intelligence in the entire creation. We see an order in the entire creation. We see this order being maintained consistently and constantly. Who is doing this? How is it all happening? There must be some power. That power we give the name of God. Now, many people have this concept that God is an entity sitting up in the heaven, and they all have this idea of how that entity up in heaven may be. An old man with long gray beard. Some people have that concept. Whatever concepts we have, that entity is not the God we are talking about. We are talking about this entity that we think is maintaining, creating, and sustaining this creation. Now, so that concept has come outside. And however, the answer will not come outside, because this creator, we have in our own reasoning, through our objective observation and analysis, come to understand and appreciate that this is an omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent entity. But how am I going to fully come to appreciate that entity? If I continue looking for that entity objectively, it will never be answered, because it is an infinite principle, and I am trying to make that infinite principle an object of my understanding, in which I am not part of that object that limits it immediately. So by searching for it objectively, I will never ever come to fully appreciate or know that entity. That search ultimately has to become subjective. Now, for that search to become subjective, where do we start? What is the question we ask? So the very first question we ask, is there a doubt about my existence? There is no doubt. Each one of us know for sure that we exist. The second question we ask ourselves is, are we sentient living beings? Is there a doubt about that? There is no doubt about that either. That we know very well that we are sentient living beings. So what is our concept of God? What do we, the Hindu concept of God is Sat, Chit, Anand. Is that which exists, that isness. This is. That isness is what is Sat. For example, just to appreciate that idea, a pot is, a cup is, a pitcher is, a plate is. These, let us say, are all made of clay. What is, the pot may go, the saucer may go, the pitcher may go, but what is will always remain is the clay. That is, that isness is God. So clay is the God of pitcher, cup, saucer, pot, whatever is made of clay. That isness, which is in me, that is that infinite within me. Then that, what we call Chit, that intelligence which is manifesting everywhere, that knowing principle with which I know myself and I know everything else, that knowing principle within me and outside is that divine. And Ananda, bliss. We all experience joy in life, and that joy is within us. It is not out there. So to fully appreciate that concept, we start with our own selves. Ramana Maharshi in Upadeshasara, he says, Isha Darshanam Swatma Rupataha. The darshan of Ishvara is of my Swatma Rupataha, my form, my nature. So God, therefore, is not just a concept. Now, for us to again fully appreciate, we think of this creation. And we see all different materials. So what was this creation made of? How was it made? Where did it come from? So for any creation, there are three aspects that are required. What are the three aspects? There must be a material cause, a material from which that thing is created. For example, in the making of a pot, clay is the material that is used. Then there has to be an instrumental cause, an instrument with which the thing is made. And that instrumental cause is the potter's wheel. It is, without that potter's wheel, we cannot have a clay pot. And the third is the intelligent cause. The whole idea, whose idea was it? Who had the intelligence to make this creation? So the intelligent cause for the pot is the potter himself or herself. So now in these three causes must be there in the creation of the universe as well. So what was the material from which this creation was made? If it was other than God, then it defeats our logic of, the unlimited. From where did that material come? Who created that material? Therefore, the logic comes that God himself or herself became the material for the creation. What was the instrumental cause for this creation? If there is an instrument other than God, that becomes self-limiting as well. Limits God, limits the infinite. Therefore, God became the instrument as well. And what was the intelligent cause? Again, if there was an intelligent cause other than God, then that becomes limiting. So God is the cause of the creation. All three causes, material cause, intelligent cause, and material, intelligent, and instrument. How is that possible? Just like a spider's web. Out of what did the spider create the web? Out of himself. What was the instrument? The spider was the instrument. What was the material? The spider was. All three causes the spider was. Similarly, all three causes for this creation is God. Now, this God, we say, is Ishvara, not Brahman. So Brahman has this capacity, we said, or has this power, which is Maya. And Maya, Brahman plus Maya is Ishvara, the creator. So this world is nothing but a manifestation of Ishvara. This Ishvara is all powerful. And where is that all powerful? That all powerful is within me. That all powerful is also all knowing. Where is that all knowing? Within me. And where is that all powerful? In everything that I experience in this world. All that is nothing but the divine I encounter. So when this concept is accepted intellectually, what it does to me, whoever I encounter, whatever I encounter, there is a respectful attitude for it. I never feel limited in power or knowledge. And the limitations may be of my instruments, of my body or mind or intellect. But if I have that surrender to that power within me, I will be able to overcome those limitations. We see so many people overcome so many limitations within them. So that surrender to that divine brings about this transformation within us. Once that transformation comes, then, of course, in the seat of our meditation, we will be able to intuitively experience that supreme entity, that indeed that supreme entity is within us. Now, this has been a way of life for us. When we go to all these Jyotirlingas, we call them Swayambhu. That concept is brought to us, that divine has manifested himself or herself here. What a beautiful concept it is. We revere every plant, every animal, every being, every stone, everything that we encounter is revered and treated with great respect. So once we have the clarity of that concept, we will be able to move towards the experience of that supreme within ourselves. So how do we come to gain that knowledge? There are three techniques that are traditionally employed. It is called Shruti, Yukti, and Anubhuti. Shruti means the Vedas or the scriptures. So we learn about it from our scriptures. Yukti is we use our own logic and then we make it our personal experience, Anubhuti. These are the steps that we logically follow to overcome Maya and to be established in that state of Brahman. So I thought that this little clarification would really make a big difference in our appreciation. So now we go to verse number 12. We have a few minutes. I'll just take the translation and then elaborate it next week. So, Dinya minyau sayam pratah, day and night, dawn and dusk, shishira vasantau punarayata, the winter and spring, they come and go. The kala kridati gachati ayu. And the time passes us by in its play. And our life is passing us by too with that. And yet, tadapina munchati asha vayu. And still, we do not give up this desires in our bosoms. Our desires are what keep us caught in Maya. And the time is passing us by so fast. Our entire life will go away, pass us by, and we will remain caught in Maya. We will never come out of it. Time is passing us very fast. So we have to recognize that this time is passing us by. We have to use this time to reach the timeless, to come out of Maya. This is, so what happens with us is our lives are so fast. The more the desires, faster our lives are. If we look at the lives our parents had, our grandparents had, they had much simpler lives. They didn't desire much. They didn't want much. They had time for each other to share joy with each other, make connection with each other. And they were not caught up as we are caught up. The whole idea is we should not postpone our spiritual growth, our spiritual development, and remain caught up in Maya. So life management is what time management is, or time management is life management. The best way to manage time was given to us in our life plan that was given in the Hindu way of life. Pravritti and nivritti. Vritti means engagement. So pra is to actively engage, and then nivritti is to withdraw from engagement. So a life, first 25 years, you go to a guru and get a vision of life that is engaging. Next 25 years, actively engage in seeking personal goals and growth, materially, socially, politically, whatever growth is outside. And then nivritti is mistaken for retirement. It is not retirement from all activities, and then finding time to go on holidays, meet friends, enjoy life. And this does not mean nivritti. In nivritti, you don't do those things, but there is a meaning. It is not meaningless activity. The meaning is to find what my true identity is, to find that infinite within me. We'll elaborate on that next class. We'll take a few minutes to talk with each other. I will say the concluding prayer, and then if there are any questions or anything also, we'll take after the concluding prayer. Okay. Oh. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukha bhag bhavet. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Anybody has questions? Anything to add or take away? I guess no questions, so we can all meet. How's everybody doing?